Our scientists work side by side in both our countries. Our students study together, share ideas, and seed new opportunities for future collaboration. And our people-to-people and cultural connections are only growing. And K-pop fans are universal. Now, I can tell those who laugh know what I'm talking about. Well, anyway, I'll get back to that later. Anyway. And think about this. I'm being literal. Uniquely a product of a document that says we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, including life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Every time we're silent, every time we let hate flourish, we make a lie of who we are as a nation. I mean it literally. We cannot let the very foundation of this country continue to be eaten away like it has been in other moments in our history and happening again. I looked at this law that you all passed as maybe the first break, the first significant break on a moment in our history that has to be turned around. Not Democrat.
In the name of Congress, the Medal of Honor to First Lieutenant Ralph Puckett Jr., United States Army, for conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of his life above and beyond the call of duty.
Love this guy.
First Lieutenant Ralph Puckett Jr., distinguished.
You described the infrastructure negotiations as the art of seeking common ground. At some point, does that become the art of the deal?
I don't know. You're the professional here, Peter. You're the TV star, you know? What's the Fox Chiron going to be?
Art of seeking common ground does take a lot of characters.
It does. The art of the deal. We'd be okay with that. Yeah.
With the art of the deal, I think that's a headline.
Well, there you go. An art of a different kind of deal. A deal for the working people.
Got it.
Okay, go ahead.
So
glad we could work that out.
Thank you.
I would like to thank Lord Dyson and his team for the report. It is welcome that the BBC accepts Lord Dyson's findings in full, which are extremely concerning. That BBC employees lied and used fake documents to obtain the interview with my mother, made lurid and false claims about the royal family, which played on her fears and fueled paranoia, displayed woeful incompetence when investigating complaints and concerns about the programme, and were evasive in their reporting to the media and covered up what they knew from their internal investigation. It is my view that the deceitful way the interview was obtained substantially influenced what my mother said. The interview was a major contribution to making my parents' relationship worse and has since hurt countless others. It brings indescribable sadness to know that the BBC's failures contributed significantly to her fear, paranoia, and isolation that I remember from those final years with her. But what saddens me most is that if the BBC had properly investigated the complaints and concerns first raised in 1995, my mother would have known that she had been deceived. She was failed not just by a rogue reporter, but by leaders at the BBC who looked the other way rather than asking the tough questions. It is my firm view that this Panorama programme holds no legitimacy and should never be aired again. It effectively established a false narrative which for over a quarter of a century has been commercialised by the BBC and others. This settled narrative now needs to be addressed by the BBC and anyone else who has written or intends to write about these events. In an era of fake news, public service broadcasting and a free press have never been more important. These failings, identified by investigative journalists, not only let my mother down and my family down, they let...
Was it worth it? You were fined $500.
Well, we're just tired of it. I mean, for the last year and a half, Ainsley, we've been told, follow the science. And we've worn the mask. And the CDC just issued the guidelines that if you've been fully vaccinated, which I have and most of the members of Congress have, that you don't have to wear a mask. And this is just a heavy-handed tactic, and get this, it's not just $500. That's the first time. You get
Right.
2 warnings, then it's $2,500.
We have just received publication of the report into the interview with Princess Diana of Wales, aired on the 20th of November 1995, and the circumstances with which the journalist Martin Bashir was able to obtain that interview. This report, carried out by Lord Dyson, has found that Martin Bashir used deceit in order to conduct and get that interview and convince Princess Diana to conduct that interview with him. He said that there was deception. Let me just find it as I scroll through what is a very, very lengthy report, and behaviour that was in breach of the BBC's guidelines on straight dealing. He talked about showing Princess Diana faked documents, faked bank statements. By gaining access to Princess Diana in this way, Mr. Bashir was able to persuade her to agree to give the interview, in serious breach of the 1993 edition of the BBC's producer guidelines. Considerable detail in this report, very lengthy report, critical of Martin Bashir, also critical of the BBC, which we'll come to. In response, we've had a statement from the BBC Director General, Tim Davie, who says, "I would like to thank Lord Dyson. His report into the circumstances around the 1995 interview is both thorough and comprehensive. The BBC accepts Lord Dyson's findings in full. Although the report states that Diana, Princess of Wales, was keen on the idea of an interview with the BBC, it is clear that the process for securing the interview fell far short of what audiences have a right to expect. We're very sorry for this. Lord Dyson has identified clear failings. While today's BBC has significantly better processes and procedures, those that existed at the time should have prevented the interview being secured in this way. The BBC should have made a greater effort to get to the bottom of what happened at the time and been more transparent about what it knew. While the BBC cannot turn back the clock after a quarter of a century, we can make a full and unconditional apology. The BBC offers that today."
Directed energy microwave attacks targeting CIA officers and top national security officials. We first started hearing about them, and we told you about them here on Special Report in 2016, shortly after then President Obama opened the embassy in Havana, Cuba. National security correspondent Jennifer Griffin at the Pentagon has the latest tonight about a suspected attack here at home.
U.S. officials say there are now 130 suspected victims, mostly CIA operatives and U.S. diplomats being treated for brain injuries, debilitating headaches and vertigo, the targets they believe of a directed energy microwave weapon.
There's a mysterious direct energy weapon that is being used, and it is causing, in some cases, permanent traumatic brain injury.
New indications suggest the incidents go as far back as 1996. 2 individuals working on the NSC believe they were targeted in 2019 and in 2020, just after the election. One was near the White House and one was walking her dog. The Russians have been working on mobile microwave weapons for years.
We have to get more information, and we got to tell the public what's going on.
The U.S. Air Force and tech firm Epirus have developed a mobile high-energy microwave weapon to bring down drones. Epirus is also working on a miniature variant of the weapon that can be easily transported on a pickup truck. This is the type of technology that might be targeting American diplomats.
Russia certainly has the means and the motive to conduct these attacks. I mean, there's some evidence out there that certainly points to Vladimir Putin, the KGB operative in the Kremlin, being responsible.
The only victim so far to come forward, former CIA head of the Europe desk, Mark Polymeropoulos, was targeted while visiting Moscow 4 years ago and forced to retire.
It's pretty insidious because it also doesn't leave any kind of, open scars or wounds.
Mark lobbied for treatment at Walter Reed's National Center for the Intrepid. As part of his therapy, he painted.
I can only assume that you will enjoy educating your family about how the Coast Guard is, quote, the hard nucleus around the Navy forms in times of war. You're a really dull class. I mean, come on, man. Is the sun getting to you? I would think you'd have an opportunity when I say that about the Navy to clap, but being here together,
Treasury Department out of the public liaison. And the truth is, Martha, from an experience perspective, I may be 35 years old, but you got to remember, I spent 32 years, parts of 32 years in politics and in government. I'm the only announced candidate that actually has spent parts of 5 decades in politics. So I may look young, but I certainly feel a lot older.
You know, Lee Zeldin is also running to be the Republican nominee. He's got.
Since the start of 2021, more than 360 bills to restrict the right to vote have been introduced in nearly every state in the United States of America. Many of these bills specifically target vote by mail. And, let's be clear about this, specifically target vote by mail, while 64% of Asian Americans vote by mail. In fact, in Georgia, in the state of Georgia, in the runoff election that just happened, which, by the way, changed the balance of the United States Senate, so that now I'm the tiebreaker, well, nearly 34% of Asian Americans voted by mail,